Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. IRS reminds taxpayers and practitioners of expedited letter rulings procedures. IR 2020-212, September 16, 2020, Washington. The Internal Revenue Service continues to look for ways to assist taxpayers affected by COVID-19 pandemic. As part of that effort, the IRS reminds taxpayers and tax practitioners of the procedures for requesting expedited handling of requests for letter rulings under Rev Procedure 2020-1, 2021, I.R.B. 1, January 2nd, 2020. As set forth in Revenue Procedure 2020/1, the IRS ordinarily processes requests for letter rulings in the order that they were received. A taxpayer with a compelling need to have a request processed more quickly may request expedited handling. So notice, obviously, with regards to the pandemic, then they might have certain conditions or certain areas where they want expedited handling, especially in those areas in which the law is there aimed at giving relief in the short term. So rather than going through the standard process where you would typically have, obviously a first come, first serve type of scenario, there might be some areas where there could be some expedition in order to do what the objective of the law would be to do. In my opinion, this is my interpretation, which is to get the relief out there faster in the time of the problem. So the request for expedited handling must be made in writing, preferably in a separate letter submitted with a letter ruling request. So you want to basically have the letter ruling request and have a separate letter and say, hey, I'd like to get this done faster because we have a short-term need going on to here. So requests for expedited handling are granted at the discretion of the IRS, typically involve a factor outside the taxpayer's control that creates a real business need to obtain a letter ruling before a certain date in order to avoid serious business consequences. So obviously, you got to be able to say, hey, look, I want to kind of jump in line here on this process. And the reason I need to do that is because if I don't get it done in this expedited way, then I'm going to have this business problem that will be heightened due to the timing of this process. So requests for expedited handling should be submitted as promptly as possible after the taxpayer has become aware of the deadline or compelling business need. The COVID-19 pandemic is a factor outside the taxpayer's control that can support a request for expedited handling under Rev Procedure 2020-1. As a result, and consistent with Executive Order 13924, there's a link to that here, of May 19, 2020, taxpayers are encouraged to seek expedited handling if they face a compelling need related to COVID-19. Such requests will be handled as provided in Rev Procedure 2020-1. So COVID pandemic items could then fall into this area of expediation and therefore allow you to request expedition under these procedures. More information on the procedures for requesting expedited handling is provided in Section 7.024 of Rev Procedure 2020-1. In addition, Rev Procedure 2020-29, there's a link to that here, 2020-21 I.R.B. 859, May 18th, 2020, sets forth procedures for the electronic submission of letter ruling requests. So you can actually do it electronically, so you can take a look at that. There's a link to that here. There'll be a link to this in the description.